My husband's mother is trying to take my dying daughter to Disney and told me I'm not invited, and my husband is on her side. Posted by you/MelodyBeatBop92. I have an almost 3-year-old beautiful little girl. She's just a few weeks shy of her 3rd birthday. My baby was placed in hospice 4 weeks ago after having gone into remission in late May. Unfortunately, the cancer has returned, and it is now crushing her optic nerve, and is about 8 centimeters long. Multiple doctors have recommended that we make our daughter as comfortable as possible, as they do not believe removing the tumor is a viable option. I have so much to say regarding her diagnosis, but heartbroken will suffice for now. My husband and I have been making tons of memories with her over the past few weeks. We've included family in some of these moments, but we both feel that we want to spend as much time with our daughter as possible. My mother-in-law called me yesterday to tell me she had booked tickets, a hotel, and airfare for a trip next month. I thought it sounded fun until she said she was taking our toddler with her, just her, my daughter, and her husband. She did not invite my husband and me. My daughter isn't even 3 yet. She has never stayed overnight anywhere, and my mother-in-law wants to take her across the country for an entire week. I suggested that my husband and I both go so that our daughter would be comfortable and, for God's sake, in the event that she passes away, she can't be gone for a week. Her nurses are here. Her care is here. I suggested that we all go for a shorter amount of time. I came up with various alternatives, all of which were turned down. I should add that even if my daughter were not in hospice, I still would not be comfortable with our toddler being across the country for a week without her parents. My child being in hospice adds another layer of complexity to the situation. I told my mother-in-law that the decision she made without consulting us was a firm no. She called me a few names and hung up on me. She then called my husband, insulted me, and suggested she would fight for rights before my daughter passes away. I'm already grieving. My husband said we should acquiesce to his mother's trip to avoid drama, even though he agrees that our daughter is too young. But I want to spend time with her before the cancer takes her. She's too little. I said no for various reasons, not just to say no. Commenter. I'd suggest discussing it with your hospice doctor. There's no way they would condone this trip and would likely be glad to discuss it with your in-laws. Hospice employees tend to be highly focused on the patient's well-being and supporting the immediate family through what is one of the most difficult times they will face. Ops response. I told 2 of our hospice nurses, and they were both floored. They thought I was joking and were appalled when they realized I was serious. My husband even told one of the nurses, "Well, my mom has good intentions." My daughter's care team, including 3 doctors, does not recommend that we fly. They also do not recommend being away for that long without care. I asked them to document everything. It's been a crazy day, and I'm shocked I managed to eat 1 meal. Edit. Thank you to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts and insights. I appreciate the outpouring of messages, and I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to reply to them all. I wanted to add a few things. My mother-in-law lives in the same county as us, in the same city as my parents. It's only about a 20-minute drive without traffic. However, my in-laws have always been very adamant that we visit them, so I usually take my daughter over every other week for a few hours. Rarely do they ever come to our home. My parents, on the other hand, like to visit and always have. My daughter is much closer to my parents for this reason. Anytime my husband and I go on date nights, my parents come over and watch her because they like for her to be in her comfort zone. This was the case even before the cancer diagnosis. Since the diagnosis, we've been in and out of the hospital for weeks at a time. My parents have still been very much involved by helping in the form of dropping off meals, assisting with laundry, etc. I am very close to my family, and they have been respectful of our need for space during this time. I think my in-laws may be experiencing guilt because they haven't made much of an effort to visit us, see us, or accommodate us. It's always about what I, their daughter-in-law, can do for them. I have always felt like an incubator who's just there to facilitate a relationship between them and my child. Also, to add, I am set on distancing myself as much as possible. I've cut off contact with my mother-in-law and do not want her around after this fiasco. I've completely blocked her from my phone and communicated this to my husband. He is sad but says he understands. A few of you mentioned that this was an eye-opening situation, and it really has been, on many levels. Second edit. I saw various comments about my mother-in-law possibly wanting to take my child on a trip to get her alternative treatment. My mother-in-law planned to take my child to Disney World in Florida, which is across the country from where we live. She lives in the same state, in the same county as us. My husband and I have taken our child to Disneyland a few times in her life, most recently once. Going for 1 day was exhausting, and my daughter was completely spent afterward. I can't imagine my daughter handling Disney World for more than a day, but also, I would like to be there for the trip. Even if my child weren't dying, I still wouldn't be comfortable with her going without me. It's such a bizarre situation. My mother-in-law isn't one for alternative treatments, and I haven't outright asked her, but at this point, I wouldn't be shocked. Either way, my child isn't going anywhere with her, supervised or not. I've already made that clear to my husband. If she wants to visit, it will have to be at our home. Even then, I'm still not on board after everything that has transpired. I've been thinking really deeply over the last few months, but even more so in the last 24 hours. I don't know how I can continue being part of this family. I'm trying not to think too far ahead, but I'm seriously doubting whether I can continue in this marriage. Thank you again, everyone. Third edit. I'm really close with my family, specifically my mom and aunt. They know the wishes I have for my daughter. My husband and I argued for a good week about where our daughter should be buried. It was awful. He wanted her buried with his grandma, where his parents and he will be buried. I wanted her buried at the cemetery where my grandparents are buried and where I plan to be buried. My husband is in the military, so I'm confused as to why he does not want to be buried with his combat brothers, but that's entirely up to him. After this fiasco with his mother, I put my foot down about where I would like my daughter's final resting place to be. I just never thought there would be so much back and forth about where she will be buried, the week-long trip we weren't invited on or consulted about, and acquiescing to his mother's wishes. A crap show, to say the least. I love my husband, but I am appalled by his behavior. I should also add that my family was very supportive of where I wanted my daughter to be buried when the topic came up. They even said she could be buried wherever we want because it's not their choice. I even entertained cremation just to try and come to a middle ground of sorts. I didn't even want to discuss burials and cremation until I absolutely had to. I've been avoiding it. Now it feels morbid to discuss because my daughter is still alive. My husband's family was upset when they brought up the topic because I didn't automatically want my daughter buried in their cemetery of choice. Their main argument was that my daughter carries their last name, so she should go there. My argument was that my family already has 4 open plots, and I want to make one a double for when my time comes. I'm even exhausted writing this because this is my life, and it shouldn't be. We should be a team, united in grief. Now I feel like all I have is my baby and my family to hold me up. Update 1 week later. It's been a few days since I've been online, and I've read some of the messages. Truly, thank you to everyone who has sent their warm wishes, support, encouragement, etc. It's been very touching, and I'm so grateful. My daughter has begun slowly deteriorating, and it's all become very overwhelming. My husband now realizes that this time is precious. That we are on borrowed time, and that our time as mom and dad is the most important. We've had 2 sessions of grief counseling and couples counseling while my daughter sleeps. Our therapist has really helped us both understand how borrowed our time is and how this time truly is for us. Everyone else is secondary. That's not to say that extended family isn't important, they are, but there is a lot of extended family, a lot. However, I'm not sure I will be staying married in the long run. That said, this isn't the time to make such a deep decision. I am emotionally drained from all that has transpired, not only this past week but this past year. You truly see people's true colors when crap hits the fan. An example of this is that on my phone, I have 8 different alarms each day for my daughter's medications, daily. I have been the one who flushes ports, administers medication, cleans up vomit, gives back rubs, and so much more. I have been in this through the thick of it, having to learn everything, because no one else will. My mother has been the only person who has asked how I'm doing, who has brought me coffee and meals, held me when I've cried, and been in my rock. My husband is sometimes emotionally present, but usually, he's not. Other than my mother, I have never received a text from any other family member asking how I'm doing or how they can help. Like I said earlier, I see everybody's true colors. My focus right now is my baby. I will focus on everything else when the time comes. But for now, we are surviving, and we are trying our best. Thank you again.